Hi everybody, it's Miss Kristina. I'm here to read you a Sunday Bible story. Today's lesson is going to be about God's Delightfully Different Family. It's the book God's Very Good Idea, written by Trillia Newbell and illustrated by Catalina Echeverry. This is a wonderful little story about how all people are created in God's image. You can find scriptures to back that up in Genesis, and you can also read it in Romans chapter 3 and Revelation chapter 7. There's so much information in the Bible about how all people are special to God. And so I really hope you enjoy this story, and let's get started. In the beginning, in fact, before the beginning, God had a very good idea. It was an even better idea than chocolate chip cookies, 1938, solar panels, 1954, the Super Soaker, 1982, color TV, 1942, fireworks, 700 BC, the life raft, 1880, roller skates, 1760, the X-ray machine, 1895. God's idea was to make people, lots of different people, who would all enjoy loving Him and loving each other. They would all be made in His image. They would all be like mirrors reflecting what God is like. Because God is full of love, they would be full of love too. So God got to work. He made a beautiful world for people to live in. Then He made the first people, a man and a woman. And He said to them, "Be happy. Enjoy loving me and loving each other. Have a huge family that will fill the earth and look after the earth and enjoy the earth." God carried on creating people. All of them were made in His image. And all of them were different too. Some were men, and some were women. Some liked reading, and some liked riding bikes. Some had darker skin, and some had lighter skin. Some had curly hair, and some had straight hair. We live in God's world. We are all different, but we are also all the same. Everyone you see is different than you and the same as you. They might look different or speak different or play different, but they are all made in God's image, and so they are all valuable. This is God's very good idea. But people ruined God's very good idea. The first people chose not to love God. This is called sin. And because they chose not to love God as they should, they forgot how to love each other as they should. We are the same. We choose not to love God, and so we are not able to love each other like we should. We sin. Sometimes we treat others badly because they are different than us. People fight with each other. People are mean to each other. People laugh at each other. Because we have ruined God's very good idea, He is not pleased with us. Our sin means that we can't be friends with Him or enjoy living with Him. We need forgiveness for ruining His very good idea. It's the same for everyone in the world. People who like reading need forgiveness, and people who like riding bikes need forgiveness. And people with darker skin need forgiveness, and people with lighter skin need forgiveness. People with curly hair need forgiveness, and people with straight hair need forgiveness. But God was not surprised by people ruining things. He had always had a very good plan to rescue His very good idea. So God got to work. He came to earth as a person, Jesus. Jesus loved people who were different than Him. He loved people who no one else loved. Your faith has made you well. I can see. He always enjoyed loving all the different people that He met. Jesus shows us how to enjoy loving each other. But people didn't love Jesus. Instead, they hated Him. They put Him on a cross to die. But this was part of God's plan. On the cross, Jesus took our sin so that we can be forgiven. Jesus forgives his people for their sins. Jesus didn't stay dead. He rose back to life and then went back to live in heaven. And then he gave people his Spirit to help them enjoy loving him and loving all the different people they know. Jesus helps us to love each other. One day, God will finish his very good idea. Jesus will come back and make the world perfect again. And anyone who has asked Jesus to forgive them will live there, with their different languages and skin colors. They will enjoy loving God and loving each other. They will enjoy praising God for making, rescuing, and finishing his very good idea. But here's a very, very, very good part of God's very good idea. You don't have to wait until then to enjoy it. Jesus welcomes anyone who asks him to forgive them. And when Jesus welcomes someone, he welcomes them into his family forever. He welcomes people who like reading and people who like riding bikes. He welcomes people with darker skin and people with lighter skin. He welcomes people with curly hair and people with straight hair. God's family is called the church. Your church friends are your brothers and sisters, your wonderful and colorful church family. You can enjoy loving them and loving God with them. This is God's very good idea. Lots of different people enjoying loving him and loving each other. God made it. People ruined it. He rescued it, and he will finish it. And with your church family, you can enjoy being part of it right now. How do we know that this was God's very good idea? You see, the story in this book begins where all things begin, Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created mankind in his own image, male and female. And God blessed them. Part of living a blessed life is to enjoy loving God and loving each other in this world. Every man and woman ever born is created in the image of God. Every tribe, tongue, and nation has the privilege of being a part of his magnificent distinction. As God's image bearers, we are all equally in dignity and worth, but we are all also equally fallen. This is why it's wonderful that Jesus came to rescue people from every tribe, tongue, and nation. One day, there will be a great multitude that no one can count from every nation, tribe, people, and language standing before the throne. You can find that in Revelation chapter 7. This understanding that God has created each of us equally with dignity and value and beauty should inform our views of one another. Knowing that we're made in his image and that he loves us enough to want to forgive us means we can, with the Spirit's help, truly love one another. I really enjoyed this book, and it's a great reminder to me about God's plan for his people, that his people would honor him and honor each other. And I think a lot of times in our culture today, people tend to look on what's on the outside of people instead of what's in their heart. And people tend to focus on what you look like and what color your skin is, and whether you have a large body or a small body, or whether you have certain abilities, or whether you have a certain amount of intelligence, and what language you speak. And there's so many things that people tend to look at instead of whether you're kind and humble and generous and thoughtful and compassionate and all of those things that God cares about. And so I just wanted to encourage you that when you see other people, that you would look at them and value them because God values them. And so it's a good reminder for kids and adults that we should love others and honor others and give other people dignity because God created them. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will come back next Sunday and read you another Bible story type lesson where we learn about God's plan for us and and characters that we can improve on. And also on Wednesdays, you can join us. Me and the kids do a Bible lesson every Wednesday. We've been doing what God is like, sort of his attributes and his characteristics, and we'll be on week 8 this week. So if you haven't seen those, go back and check them out. They're pretty good. And other than that, we'll see you next week. Bye.